Well, good afternoon, everybody. So glad you could join us. This is Drew Steele filling in for JayMac today. Love his opener. I have to wait until the chants come in. Snowball's looking at me like that. I do this all the time. It gets you excited. You want to raise your hands, pump your fists, get excited about the day as we have presidential candidate Evan McMullin standing with us here today. And oh boy, what a day in the state of Utah. What a day for you. What a day when it comes to these pollings. First of all, how are you feeling today? This new poll comes out. The numbers look very promising for you, sir.
Well, we feel very good about it. Of course, we put in a lot of work already, so it's sort of, that reward you get after putting a lot of effort in. But there's still a lot of work to be done. I mean, we're still at a place where only about 50% of Utahns know who I am and who my running mate Mindy Finn is. And so we have our work cut out for us. A lot of people are joining on very quickly. We've got so much momentum. I've never seen anything like it before. But we've got a lot of work to do to make sure that other 50% of Utahns know about us, hear our message of conservatism and of a future of positive leadership for this country.
So now when you look at this poll that's out, and Deseret News had this today talking about Hillary Clinton 26%, Donald Trump 26%, the fall of Donald Trump, Evan McMullin at 22% now, these numbers that are so encouraging. A lot of folks always look at this campaign of yours and say, okay, so where are we going as far as the direction and how you will be able to accomplish what is the ultimate goal, is to be the president? And we've been through this and we've talked about the Electoral College and the way this all works out. Mm-hmm. But ultimately for you, is it more than that? At the end of the day, is there something else that you're trying to accomplish with this?
I would say on a most basic level, Mindy and I believe that we are standing for principle. You see so many people abandoning their principles, their stated principles in this election. I think that has created a leadership crisis in our country. Our principles are really important. Those enshrined in our founding documents, the Declaration of Independence and our inspired Constitution, these are really important things. And when I see our leaders abandoning our principles and our core ideals, I know that we have a problem. And we see that on display right now with the two major party candidates. So what are we doing? We're standing for principle, but Mindy and I are also building a new generation of leadership. But as a part of that, a new conservative movement. It's time for a new conservative movement in this country that will rededicate itself to the cause of liberty, individual liberty, and also to the idea that we are all created equal. I feel that especially the Republican nominee this year has abandoned those ideals, but also so is Hillary Clinton. They're both big government liberals, and they both want to expand the size of government in different ways, but it has the same result. It's tax and spend, and it puts more on our backs, and that's not good for our national security. I come from a national security background. I worry most about our national debt, and we've got to get it under control, and we can't with either of these two candidates from the major parties. We need something else.
Yeah, presidential candidate Evan McMullin joining us in studio on KSL Newsradio. This is Drew Steele filling in for JayMac today. So as we look at this, and there's going to be November 9th, there's going to be November 10th and beyond. So is the suggestion that in order for this to move forward, that new generation has to be this millennial outreach? If we're talking about conservatism, which is what you're talking about, how do you do that? What can you do, or what can be done that is different now in a world, in a country that is moving, or we're told at least that it's moving in a different direction? So how do you do that?
Well, first of all, I want to make clear that we have supporters from a wide age range. We have a lot of millennials, yes, but we also have a lot of senior citizens, and I'm not sure why those are our strongest groups, but they are. Yeah. So we'll try to figure that out on November 9th. Yeah. But millennials are important. Look, our message is just very compelling, and it's interesting to me that these are our founding principles, and we sort of have drifted from them. But the idea that we are all created equal, that's something that has really been under assault in this election. But then the cause of individual liberty, that too has been under assault in this election by both major party candidates. So simply standing up, and when no one else is, and saying these things is really, it gets millennials excited, it gets people, senior citizens excited, and other people, and we're very excited too. But these truths are so important to our country, to our security, to our prosperity. No one else is standing up for them right now. Mindy and I are.
Yeah, it would be nice if more people, families, especially if you're talking about education and at home, talking about the Constitution, talking about the constitutional republic that we are, or at least are supposed to be.
Right.
And sometimes it feels like that's slipping away. Presidential candidate Evan McMullin joining us in studio on KSL News Radio. My name is Drew Steele, filling in for JayMac today. Hey, listen, do you have a chance to stick around for just one more quick segment? Do you need to run? Yeah, okay, because we've got to take a break. And when we come back, just one more question I wanted to ask presidential candidate Evan McMullin, who's in studio with us on KSL News Radio. KSL News Radio. My name is Drew Steele, filling in for JayMac today. He will return tomorrow. Look forward to that. Presidential candidate Evan McMullin staying for one quick break because I did want to ask him a question. Obviously, with this new poll out, excitement as it looks like in the state of Utah that the Trump effect is taking place, that he seems to be dipping in the polls. Is 26% for Hillary Clinton, 26% for Donald Trump. Evan McMullin now at 22%. This increase that, I'm not sure if many people saw this coming, but ultimately, as we look towards the future and we look towards what may or may not happen, there's a November 9th. There's a day after. There's something that needs to be done in the future. And we talked a little bit about this, and I wanted you to comment. I was talking about how I homeschool, my family homeschools, and the education and the fact that there's so much that you can do in your sphere. If you're waiting for D.C. to come along and save the day, you have a long wait.
That's right.
So the things that you can do in your sphere to communicate with your family about your freedoms, your liberty, the constitutional republic that we are and that we should be, and to stay with that. And you have something that's going on as well with that. Right? Yeah,
that's right. Look, we just released a new document called Principles for New American Leadership. And it's a list of 13 basic principles and ideals, starting with the idea that we're all equal, that we have inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We talk about the Constitution in there, the fact that we need to honor it, separation of powers, states' rights, these sorts of things. We take a couple of key policy positions. The point is that this is a document that's meant to help Americans talk about what's required to get our country back on track. And so we're inviting Americans to have a conversation. We're calling it a conversation with America. And it starts in the home. It starts with your friends. Yeah. But we need a new era of not only of new leadership in this country, but new civic engagement. And so it's about doing what you can in your sphere at home, but also engaging in knowing the issues and holding our leaders accountable. Because if we don't do that, we're never going to get the kind of leadership that we need. We're blessed with an inspired Constitution, but that's not enough if we have terrible leaders. If we have terrible leaders, I believe our nation suffers, even if we do have an inspired Constitution.
And if we're going to really talk about this, and if we're going to be quite honest about it, and I think the two of us
let's do it.
Can be honest about it. Politicians typically play off of the fact that you don't know enough about history. You don't know enough about the Constitution. You don't know enough about your freedoms and liberties. You don't know enough about the fact that we have this country with 300 million plus people, and we have this little tiny little place called Washington, D.C. that we tell them what to do, as opposed to this little tiny place telling us what to do. There is that fundamental concept, and if you don't know it, then people will play that against you.
That's absolutely right. We've forgotten in this country that the government's power can only come from the people. And because of that, the government is accountable to the people. But right now we have so much power and money centered in Washington, thousands of miles away from the American people. It's so unaccountable. Our voices are diluted. We need to return power to the states where it's more accountable, where we can then get better government, less corrupt government, more responsive and efficient government.
And smaller government. Did you mention that? Okay, good.
Yeah, well, if you're going to take power from Washington and turn it back to the states, you're going to get less government because it's going to be more accountable and people are going to want their own rights back.
Presidential candidate Evan McMullin in studio with us on KSL News Radio. My name is Drew Steele, filling in for JayMac today. I appreciate you giving us a few minutes of your time. All the best
pleasure.
to you.
Yeah,
and,
thank
you. Good news with these numbers today.
Yeah, we're excited. More work to be done, though.
All right. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about this on KSL News Radio.